Go, Ricky Bobby, go! Woo! Pinto! Pinto! Man, we're going to be talking about the Pinto today because it was misrepresented, man. Despite of all what you heard, this was a very good car, supported by many of you guys who are watching this video right now. But Arrogance and Ego up the Pinto. Let's get to it. Pinto power! This car has a love-hate situation with everybody across the board. I mean, it was a great car. Sunroof, automatic, AC, back window, heated windows, and also too, it was the butt of everybody's jokes. I mean, even in movies, Ford Pinto had no chance of recovering after that. So let's paint the picture of this whole thing yet again. 1968, Bunky Knudsen was hired by Ford to be president. He came from GM as a vice president. Lee Iacocca was already there. He was pissed as he was overlooked by an outsider from GM, and after he made Ford all that money with the first Mustang, introduced him a new pony car to the lineup. That don't sound too right, but okay. He went along with it. He said, Bunky, hey, listen here. We got this subcompact division that we need to get out there. It's going to be called the Pinto. We should get this thing underway. And Bunky declined. He told him, he said, hey, look, man, we are making money here with the full-size cars. We're okay. We don't need this. Leave the small cars to the Japanese. We don't need it. And that got Lee Iacocca pissed. He was like, wait a minute. What the mother? We got to do something about this Bunky guy. He got to get out. Please note, Bunky was hired in 1968. The initial planning for the Pinto began in the summer of 1967, so it was recommended by Ford's Product Planning Committee in December 1968. Excuse my language for a minute, folks. It was pure fuckery going on in Detroit during this times. I mean, these guys were just going back and forth, hiring from GM and all of this nonsense here, man. This is why a lot of things get crazy over there in Detroit. Now, you get dealing with two guys, two alpha males. Egos is what messed up this daggone Pinto. Just think about this. Bunky declined the Pinto, but it was already set in motion. In 1967, Lee Iacocca's been at Ford since 1942. He got passed over for being president for this guy. Then all of a sudden, Bunky got fired, and then he got hired, and he pushed the Pinto through off of pure emotion. I want to show him that this thing does work. Egos and arrogance costs a lot of people's lives. 1971, the Ford Pinto debuted, making good numbers. Bunky is sitting home a little bit salty, but he's cool. He got his mansion, he's kicking back, got his pension, he's rolling. But then tragedy struck. Look at the news, but he was like, man, you know what? I'm happy I'm not at Ford right about now. And he called up Lee Iacocca and he said, aha. You know what, that didn't really happen. But what really happened, you've seen this crash impact on this Pinto. The gas spews out of the tank, filler neck, backside punctured, axle puncture, and the gas goes on the rear tire. All you need is something to ignite it, and then bad things will happen, like it has happened. Here's a comment by a subscriber, VB. I have owned 4 Pintos over the years. The last one lasted 27 years and over 500,000 miles. All were 2.3 4-speed models. I worked for Ford back in the day. The recall included 3 parts as there was only for the first 5 model years the car was made. Each car got a new filler neck, a differential shield, and a shock deflector. Dealer cost for the kit was just over $10. They weren't the time bombs that most thought they were. For one, the car really had to take a pretty serious rear end hit to be at risk. A couple of things had to happen and fold just right for the tank to be ruptured by either the rear or one of the shock mounts. When you look back, just about any car with a rear mounted fuel tank is at risk during a bad rear end hit. Most cars of the era and before had the fuel tanks either as trunk floor or mounted just under it, just ahead of the rear bumper. The Pinto just happened to be a smaller and less able to take a hit from what was often a larger striking vehicle. By 1977, the models had changed quite a bit. Underneath the car, end issue was gone, but the reputation has been ruined and no one wanted anything called Pinto anymore. Well said, brother. Well said. Now these crash tests here done by Ford before the car went into production and be sold. They used 40 cars in this test, and out of the 40 cars, only 3 survived. 2 out of the 3 used the $11 kit. Now the last one had a $5.08 bladder installed of the tank made by Goodyear. Now they had this way back then. Now you hold on to that a little bit. Way back then, there is no machinery retooling cost on this. Man, it's so simple. Just install the Goodyear bladder equipped tank and that is it. But they should have done something, but they did nothing. They had bad PR, they lied. Later on down the road, many years later, Chevy came up with an issue with their trucks. Is right, brother. Let me read you an article. Years ago, a probe by the National Highway and Traffic Safety Administration, part of the Department of Transportation, found the risk of burning to death inside of impact crashes was much higher in GM trucks than its rival full-size pickups. But under intense pressure from GM and its congressional allies, transportation officials blinked and announced a settlement in December 1994 that left millions of trucks on the road. In exchange, GM agreed to pay $51.4 million for safety programs like buying child car seats for the poor families that transportation officials said will save many lives. By that time, more than 600 people have burned to death in CK post-collision fires, and the argument did nothing about the remaining side saddle pickups described by consumer advocates and victims' lawyers as the most dangerous vehicle from a fire risk standpoint ever produced. I want to thank my boy Osby for giving me this game on this Chevy truck, man, but I want to be fair to all the people who own Pintos, who love Pintos and love Fords, or any cars by that matter. God bless those who have lost their lives in any accident all across the world. But the Pinto was really not that bad of a car. They sold 3 million cars. 3 million cars sold. Despite all the deaths that it had, which was 180 by fire. Okay? Now, versus the Chevy truck that had 600 by fire. Ford Pinto did have a recall. It was $11. Now in 1977, they had revised the whole system of the car. It was a lot better. Now Chevy did absolutely nothing. They had no recall, no nothing, but their cars actually stayed out there. No bad press. GM sent for those people who were less than fortunate that couldn't buy car seats. That was a beautiful thing, but also check out this video. Tell me what you think.
Primetime news program airs a story in 1992 entitled Waiting to Explode. The story includes footage demonstrating that a line of trucks produced by General Motors readily explode on impact.
To see for ourselves what might happen in a side impact crash, Dateline NBC hired the Institute for Safety Analysis to conduct crash demonstrations. Unlike GM tests, the fuel tanks were filled with real gasoline. Look what happened. At impact, a small hole was punctured in the tank. According to our experts, the pressure of the collision and the crushing of the gas tank forced gasoline to spew from the gas cap. The fuel then erupted into flames when ignited by the impacting car's headlight.
After the program airs, one of the firemen at the taping of the crash contacts GM. The conversation inspires a full-scale investigation. 3 months later, NBC is forced to reveal their role in fabricating the news.
Wait a minute.
NBC's contractor did put incendiary devices under the trucks to ensure that there would be a fire if gasoline were released from the truck's gas tank.
We said the crash, quote, forced gasoline to spew from the fuel cap, end quote. GM says since the gas cap was the wrong cap for the GM filler tube, and because the gas tank was overfilled, the cap came off when the impact occurred.
We agree with GM that we should have told our viewers about these devices.
The Dateline reporter, however, said, quote, at impact, a small hole was punctured in the tank, unquote. GM has now x-rayed that tank and found no hole.
We acknowledge the placing of the incendiary devices under the truck was a bad idea from start to finish.
That's our new policy, and we'll be right back.
Now, if you guys stayed with this video, you guys are some bright human beings. So I would love your input on this situation here. Now, this is all out there. Now, is the Pinto a really bad car? How much gas capacity does the Pinto have versus a truck with double saddlebags underneath? You tell me. You think about that. Now, you think that Pinto was a horrible car? It was just horrible management. Now, Chevy, on the other hand, they had good management and a horrible product. drop a line below and we can talk about it. And we got a lot of things to talk about, brothers, all right? See you guys.
It was a bad idea from start to finish.
That's our new policy, and we'll be right back.
Clad interior, a 78 Pinto Squire wagon. No reserve. I'm a chair. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm part of it. No reserve. I'm part of it. 10,000 out of bed. I'm part of it. 10,000 out of it. $5,000. I am part of it. 5,000 out of it. 2,000, 3,000 down 4. I am 3 to bed. 4,000 out of bed. And 5,000 out of it. 5 down 6,000 out of bed. And part of it. 6,000 out of it. And part of it. 6,000 out of it. 7,000, 8,000 out of it. 9,000 out of bed. You're 9 of it. 10, 12. I am 10 to bed. 12,000 out of it. 10 to bed. 12,000 out of bed. 15,000. I am 15 to bed. 15,000 out of bed. I am 12,000 out of bed. 13, 15, 17, 17,000 out of bed. 20,000 out of bed. I am 20,000 out of bed. 22,000 out of bed. I am 20 grand out of bed. 22. I am 20,000 out of bed. 22 to bed. 22. 22. 1, 2. I am 21. 2, 3. I am 22 going to be 3. I am 22 to be 23. I am 22,000 out of bed. 3, 4. And 24. 5. I am 25 to bed. 25,000 out of bed. 25. I am 25,000 out of bed. 27. I am 25 to bed. 27 to bed. 30. I am out of bed. 30 going to be 30 going to be 30 going to be 30. I am 27,000 out of bed. 28,000 out. Did you want to do that? 28. Now 30. I got 8 here. Now 30. I am 32. I am 30 going to be 32 to bed. 32. I am 30,000 out of bed. 32,000 out of bed. 32,000. Kevin. I am 30,000 out of bed. $32,000. Anybody else?